The Chargers D showed up and then some. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers offense were held in check by LA, who earned their first win over the Packers since 1984. Rodgers' 13.1 total QBR was the second lowest in his career. Green Bay currently 7-2, one game ahead of the Vikings in the division. Here's Aaron Rodgers after the game.
This is a good slice of humble pie for us. You know, we're kind of rolling at 7-1 and starting to, listen to the chatter maybe a little too much. So I think this will be a good thing for us. We'll regroup, go back home, and play another good team before the bye.
Are you worried about the odd eye? You really look like Aaron Rodgers.
Everyone's told me that, but he looks like me. I'm older, Molly.
Okay, whatever. Ryan Clark back here with us, the Eagles in this room. Are you worried about the Packers after that loss, Stephen A?
I think you should be. I think when you look at the Packers right now, listen, their defense is vastly improved, but they're still an 11th ranked defense in the league, 21th against the pass, 25th against the rush. You got to look at these kind of things and pay attention to it. The defense is better, but they were such trash for the last several years with Aaron Rodgers carrying them on their back that any level of elevation had us, pausing for a moment and saying, hey, indeed, times might be a bit better. But that was assuming that the offense was still going to be prolific because of Aaron Rodgers. When you get shut down offensively the way the Chargers did to them yesterday, you got to pay attention to that because certainly, obviously, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have but so many weapons to utilize, and we get all of that. We understood that. But the flip side to it is that, he's found a way, against Detroit. He's found a way against other opponents this season. One would anticipate you could find a way against the Chargers. And what I will say is this. The Chargers are not the same team when Ingram and Bosa are on the corners coming after you. It's a different monster. When them two brothers
Monster's
are together,
the right word.
When they come to you from the edges and you have to, that's pocket containment for you. You ain't getting outside with those two. And when those two are coming at you from both ends and you sit up there and you are literally in the pocket, that does make life significantly more difficult for you. I recognize that as being the case yesterday. I understand it. I appreciate what Aaron Rodgers said. But I do believe you have some reason to be concerned because there should never be an instance where your offense is that neutralized with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, particularly when your defense is good, but certainly not elite. That happened yesterday. That's why I'm concerned.
Well, first of all, I'm not concerned, partly because Minnesota and Detroit should have won their games yesterday and they lost in heartbreaking fashion. And so that really helps the Packers. This loss isn't that big a deal, and Chicago stinks. So I think the Packers will be fine. I want to get to Rodgers, though. He was limited in practice this week because of a knee. But I'm wondering, I've heard nothing about this. It looked to me, Ryan, like a shoulder sort of, based on the weak-armed throws. One thing about Aaron Rodgers is, and it could easily be, you generate stuff from your lower body, obviously, but Aaron Rodgers has always had a laser-guided missile coming out of his hand. And I saw multiple atypically weak throws from Rodgers yesterday. So if that is something, whether it's a knee or something else that we don't know about, that's hampering him somehow, that could be nagging and stay with him the rest of the year, then I'd be concerned. But barring that, so long as this is something he can heal from and return to form that we've seen in the last several weeks, I'm not really stressing it. I think the defense is much improved, Ryan. And the main thing is, I don't believe in Kirk Cousins. And Stafford, I actually do believe in this year, but they lost a tough one. And I don't believe in Trubisky, so I'm not worried about the Packers.
Yeah, I think it depends on how you box this up. If you're looking at Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers and saying that they should win the NFC North, then I don't necessarily think you're worried. But if you're looking at the bigger picture when you involve the San Francisco 49ers, the Seattle Seahawks, and obviously the team that I think is the best in the NFL, in the New Orleans Saints, this is an issue because this is the way the Packers have played all season. They just finally lost. And we talk about this much improved defense. This was a defense that started out the season well, holding the Chicago Bears to a very low score, and then coming back the next week and playing well against the Denver Broncos. But since then, they've given up points. This is a defense that gives up very huge plays, and we saw the same thing with Mike Williams yesterday for the Los Angeles Chargers. And also, Matt LaFleur, and I've said this all season, he is not reinventing offense. This isn't an innovative, schematic-heavy offense that is scheming people open. What we've seen against the Detroit Lions, what we've seen against the Oakland Raiders, what we've seen against the Kansas City Chiefs is Aaron Rodgers do Aaron Rodgers-like things. And then on top of that, Aaron Jones has emerged as a passing threat and a threat in the rush as well. But this team has holes. This team isn't great. And if something is wrong with Aaron Rodgers is a little banged up, then you have to be worried because he carries this team offensively. And defensively, they're better, but they're only better because we're comparing them to themselves from the years past. And so this team has a lot of work to do. They can't just walk into stadiums and win. And listen, I know it's not a lot to do in Wisconsin. They may have went out to L.A. a little early and had some people eating at, they went to crustaceans and maybe they saw iPick. But what they need to do is get back and get focused, find ways to stop the deep ball, and do some things that makes offense easier for Aaron Rodgers.
Ryan, I agree with you and Rodgers, actually. I also agreed with his point, like, even when the quarterback says it right after the game, like maybe we were reading our own press clippings, so we needed some humble pie. It had the feel of that kind of game. And I'm with you on the injuries. That's why I brought it, like, if you're going to make weak arm throws, if that's Rodgers, because he has something that's going to last the rest of this season, that's going to be a problem. But what have we always said about him? Even if the defense isn't way better, I think it's been better than in recent years. And their running game is now better. They have a multi-purpose back who can do some things. And so what have we always said? Like, Rodgers gave him a chance even without that stuff. If you give him an improved defense, and we can debate how improved it is, and a guy out of the backfield who can make things happen, then even though I agree with you, the Saints are way better on paper, Rodgers could beat that team in the playoffs, couldn't he, if he's healthy?
Well, if he's healthy, yeah, but not looking the way he looks.
Well, Rodgers could beat that team, but they're going to be difficult to beat without the referees if you have to go through New Orleans anyway. And then you see what San Francisco is able to do with that rush, with that front line of first rounders. And so I think this team has to continue to get better. And for Aaron Rodgers, there has to be at some point, when you look at Matt LaFleur and you listen to Aaron Rodgers, these aren't necessarily people that inspire. Right? The reason you follow Aaron Rodgers into battle is because you know he's better than everyone else. That when he's on the field and you match quarterback for quarterback, you're never scared that the other guy is more talented than Aaron Rodgers. The only time you'd even have that feeling is when everybody grabbed their popcorn to watch Kansas City and Green Bay play if Matt Moore wasn't having to be the quarterback. And so I understand that. But Aaron Rodgers has one Super Bowl. He's been to one Super Bowl. And when you look at a talent like him, a talent that he is, you expect more. But this team has to do more around Aaron Rodgers, or it will be the same thing this year. It will be, we think he's one of the best that ever played, maybe the best to do it, but he'll be watching the Super Bowl along with the rest of us. This defense has to improve, and Matt LaFleur has to do something to protect him and help him going forward throughout the rest of the season.
My only issue is that on this show, his name is Matt LaFleur. It's not Matt LaFleur. It's Matt LaFleur. Okay.
Hey,
we know you're big time. You spend time in the south of France.
I'm from Louisiana, man. It's LaFleur.
It's LaFleur.
We got a lot of them.
It's LaFleur.
But Max, to your earlier point about in the division, you're right. Minnesota could have won that game if Thielen didn't get hurt. And Detroit's lost every game by about a touchdown this season.
By the way, I got to give it to Stafford too. Sometimes I really think it's his fault for
It's not a lot of times.
No, Stafford's having a tremendous season.
He needs more help. He needs more help.
All right, much more to come here. Was the Ravens' performance legit or simply a matter of smoke and mirrors? You don't want to miss this debate. Next.
Get excited, football fans, because the NFL season is in full swing.
Can you believe all these storylines from around the league?
Which teams make the best case to take home the Lombardi Trophy?
Who will rise and who will ultimately fall?
We was catching them, unlike Aguilar.
He had every snap, pass, and run.